Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today is my official first day of the Maine Yarn Cruise. So the Maine Yarn Cruise is a yarn crawl of about 24 stores in the state of Maine. It's a pretty hefty undertaking, honestly. It's all over the place, they're hours apart, and the organizers of this know this, and that's why they have the Maine Yarn Cruise going from June to October. However, because I live in Philly, I actually planned a road trip for 10 days where I can have a chance to visit all the stores in relatively quick succession. There's a rest day or so in there. And today I'm going to undertake the most amount of stores I have planned in a day. Hopefully while my enthusiasm is high, because a couple of the stores have to be by themselves because they're so far out there. But I'm trying to group together the stores when I can. So today I'm hoping to hit 5. Which, from the New Jersey wool walk that I did, I know it's possible, but it requires good planning. My plan today is to start with the store that is the farthest out and then work my way in. So I'm going to be in like the southern part of the state today, like around the Portland, Freeport area. So let's get going. I just came out of the yarn cellar, and what a lovely little shop. They have a nice parking lot right out front. There is a huge selection of yarn there. So I did have to remind myself that I can't just spend all my money here. I have to like spread it out, but I still overspent just a tad bit, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I found some yarns I've never seen before, and I'm very excited to show off. So I found this color kit. It is Sweet Georgia Party of 5. Oh, it's a superwash merino and nylon mix. But just look at that colorway. Like, I know it's like reflecting like mad off of this right now, but it was stunning. It was probably appealing to me because I've been seeing so much Barbie stuff lately. So it's like, ooh. I was also told that if I just go on Ravelry, I can actually find this pattern, which I'll have to see what the pattern is to see if I'm actually going to stick with it or not. Yeah, it's like a nice range of colors. I got this dark shade. It's called Nightshade. It's from American Cornrow. American Cornrow, I think, is the type of yarn. It's from HD. It's hard to tell here, but when you see this in the sun, it looks stunning. I mean, I'm currently in the shade because I burn. But when this is shown in the sun, this is stunning. This is Heritage Aran. It is spun and dyed in Mitchell, Nebraska. Not a lot of Nebraska things make it to the East Coast. It's kind of nice to see this here. And I mean, even though it's kind of a plain yarn, like sometimes the plain yarn just cuts your eye. And I did get roving too. So since I've been on the New Jersey wool walk and since my trip on Ireland, I learned how to spin. So in addition to yarn, I'm also going to buy roving if I see roving that I like. I saw this Bittersweet Nature's roving by mymainfarmgirl.com. So this is from a Maine sheep. You can practice spinning with that and see what I end up making with that. And I also got another roving. I got 2 rovings. They had this dyed color one. The yarn owner here dyes their own yarn. That also includes the roving. So I got some of that. Speaking of the yarn owner dyeing their own yarn, there's this yarn here, which actually reminds me of a yarn that I bought back home. With the way that there's a zebra stripe. It's Skinny Zebra. But I just love the color. For some reason, I'm in a pink mood today. I don't know why. I got a lot of reds and pinks. And then there's this brand, Lofty. Oh, no, not Lofty. Lopey. And it was a very rough yarn. Super rough. But this one intrigued me because it sold like this. You don't typically see yarn sold like this in the store. The shrink wrap is usually what happens when you buy it wholesale and then someone gives it wholesale, but it's not usually put on display like this. Which is like, oh, it stuck out, yeah. This one was an impulse buy. I have not seen this brand before. It's Ella Ray, but this is pure certified organic cotton. Well, I love a good cotton. They had some like yarns from specialty dyers. I don't know if I got all of them, to be honest. You keep buying specialty skeins, it's going to pile up. But this is Oink Pinkment Targy Sock. It's a nice colorway. When I see this, I think I want to make something for my sister with this. She'll like that yarn. And then this was just a stunning yellow. It's the KFI Collection Indulgence Kettle Dyed Fingering. It's a superwash merino wool. I mean, have you ever seen a more vibrant yellow? And this was Sassy Black yarns. This one's Sour Apple. They didn't have too many colors here, but this strikes me as an independent dyer that is selling in the store. So of course we want to support our independent dyers. It'll be interesting to use. It's a sock yarn. Yeah, fingering sock weight, so maybe make something light and airy with it. I also got my yarn cruise bag. So I was like, yeah, let's just get the little bag. And they gave me the passport. So I am now set for the other stores, and they already marked it off, they said. They marked off the yarn seller for me. So I now have my passport for all the different stores, and it looks like they put a sticker on it. A bit bigger than the New Jersey one. Oh, there's a bunch of goodies in here too. Basically a lot of paper, but they also gave me a ruler. And they gave me some yarn. Waverly wool color. The rest are just like advertised. Oh, they gave me a pattern. They gave me a pattern. Yeah, a lot of it is just advertisements, but they did give me a pattern in here. Pattern, if I can pull it out. Barrette and wristlets. If I'm quite honest, I almost never will make wristlets because I'm probably not going to wear them. But I do love a good hat. Before I forget, they had an amazing yarn selling technique. It's one that I fell for in Ireland, and I fell for it here. They had what was called yarn candy, where they basically had scrap yarn in balls. So I got some. I took most of their colors. I didn't clear them out of all the colors. I did clear them out of the green and the purple. But they basically had like these little ball skeins of yarn. Like here are some of them. I got 12. Here are some of the other ones. And I can add them to my scrap snake when I get home. You can also see the yellow. The yellow ball wanted to stay inside the bag. But that was the yarn seller. So this was the farthest store today, and now I'm just going to work my way back up. So I'm going to double check the times that are available, and I'm going to decide the next store from there. But I'm pretty sure I know what my next store is going to be. Also, before I forget, when I entered yarn seller, I was greeted immediately. And throughout, the person who took care of me, Daphne, was very helpful. And she was also a very friendly person. There were some unexpected stops along the way, but I finally made it to Bidford Fibre. So I'm actually in a parking lot away from Bidford Fibre. They don't really have any parking there, but there are public parking lots around. They were in the process of fixing their air conditioner while I was there. Because the repair person said we don't want the sheep to get wet. And one of the great things about this store is literally when you walk right into the store, there's a display that says Maine yarns. Like yarns that are from Maine, which is good because I have a pinpoint of which yarns are unique to the store and which ones to get. So I got one from all those types of yarns. So this is Sea Colors, as it is. It's a type of wool. This thing was huge. The person who took care of me actually wrapped it up. It was originally just a long hang. I think her name was Andrea. Not because I asked, but because I heard someone else address her. Yeah, this was just a beautiful color, and it was so soft. This is just wool. There's this brand, it's called the Seven Sister Arts. And I was in between two of them, but it's like, no, Becky, you have to space it out. So I only got one, but what a beautiful colorway. This is Eco Wash Organic Merino. I do not know what that means. I can tell you that it feels good. This is a fingering weight yarn. And then this is On the Round, another Maine yarn. This color is called Robin's Egg. It's a superwash merino wool, and it is very, very plush. Yeah, plush DK. Yeah, you can feel the plushness in this thing. This was the other Maine yarn. This is hot knit yarn. This color is called Evil Bloom. I don't know what I'm going to make with this, but I feel like this is a chance for me to get some sort of naughty thing out. My fill-in error, yeah. Let's be real. I don't usually choose to be in a fill-in error. I try to be good. I feel more comfortable that way. But I do like the ability to be mischievous. And then this is father-daughter's fibers. Apparently, the name of the yarn is the name of the sheep. So this is from a sheep called Juicy, which I ended up asking because there was one called Recollect Worsted, and I was like, is this a recycled yarn? And she's like, no, that's just the name of the sheep. This is from somewhere out west, or in the Midwest. Just in case it wasn't clear, the Evil Bloom was the end of the Maine yarns. We're now just into the regular yarns that I haven't seen in other stores. This is Manos del Uruguay Maxima. It's fair trade extra fine merino. It doesn't seem extra fine, which I'm actually happy about, because when it's like super, super thin, I'm less likely to touch it, as I'm finding out. Even though I'm learning things about that, yeah. But this was just a vibrant color. The color is called Helium. I had this other yarn here, Sestari. It's from Virginia. I came up from Virginia. It's a 3-ply DK weight, and that's why I felt good. It's 100% Virginia cotton cornflower. I'm not sure where cornflower comes into this, but it's a cotton. It's a cotton. It's a cotton that feels very good. Then there's this other brand. I don't know if it's Quince or just Quince and Company, but this was just a nice worsted weight thing. This could work up into something nice and quick. I think that's all my yarn. Yeah, they gave me this nice bag. They also had like some other fine end yarns up there that I didn't get because I've seen them in other places, like the Moondrake yarn with the Fua Fua. I recently ordered that for a pattern test that I'm doing. So I'm very familiar with that yarn, but it's like I don't need to buy any more right now. And I also saw the Hedgehog Fibers yarn they have, and Noro as well. Like Hedgehog Fibers, I didn't touch any because I still have a lot from my visit to Hedgehog Fibers last month. Yeah, this is a nice little store. And I'm looking forward to putting the air back on. I don't know why I'm doing this part without the air conditioning on. I just left the Knit Wet Yarn shop here, and it's a very delightful little shop. It was difficult to find a parking spot, but once we found a parking spot, I had a nice little walk down. I got to enjoy the surrounding area, and I found some good yarns here. And one of the amazing things about this store is they will put a little lobster on particular yarn brands if they are related to Maine. They'll also put like the Boston Red Sox logo on the two that I saw that were from Boston. So I was able to realize that some of the yarns that I picked up in the other store so far were actually already from Maine. I didn't know, like, as I found out, it's Quince Company, not Quince. I ended up asking, they're actually nearby here. And I found out that they had like Biscotti sock yarn, like the store that I visited in Jersey, they had their sock yarn up here. I was like, I wasn't expecting that, but it was nice. I got some really good yarns here. Knitwit actually has their own yarn that they hand dye in batches. So this one is called Worsted Leaf Peepers. Leaf Peepers. Makes me think of a little frog. The name, although an orange frog means it's a very colorful standout type of frog, it makes me think of the frogs that have like the tinted eyelids that try to camouflage to become a leaf. Jagger Spun was another one of them. They are in Springfield, Maine. This was a nice colorway, and this is superwash wool, 90% and 10% silk. So it's definitely like very squishy, very soft. It's like a beautiful colorway too. I think I already said that, but any yarn that has a beautiful colorway deserves to have it said twice. Yeah. Here is the Dirty Water Dye Works. This was the one that was from Boston. This color is called Depression Glass. I'm not sure what that means because usually when I see this color, it makes me happy, but it has such a sad name. Maybe it's more like sea glass, but it's a very like spongy type of yarn. Yeah, superwash merino. I'm going for a lot more superwash merino than I was in the past. And then this here is a brand I've never seen before. It's called Little Fox. Little Fox had beautiful colors, but their names related to the colors did not make sense. Just saying, there were like several colors. I looked at the names and it's like, that name does not make sense. This one makes a little bit of sense. It's called Deep Water. And this is 80% superwash merino and 20% silk, fingering weight. And this was another Maine-based yarn. It was HM Fibercraft. I think I saw this in one of the other ones. I forgot to get it. So I got it here. And this one's called Hello, Hello, Hello. It's like, hi. Or like that scene from like Hamilton where it's like, hey, hey. You know, whatever I make with this, I'm going to have to put like some sort of smiley face on it, yeah. This is also fingering weight, merino, nylon. This was an odd little find. I think this is an independent dyer. It's called Fully Spun, but this color is called Genderqueer Pride. we're going to experiment with it a little bit to make something nice and quirky with this. There was this brand called Snallygaster Fibers. This is also a Maine-based fiber. And I mean, isn't this green stunning? This color is called Avada Kedavra, which makes complete sense. I still enjoy the Harry Potter stories. I'm not a fan of J.K. Rowling. There was a lot of Harry Potter lore growing up, so this color being called Avada Kedavra makes so much sense to me. And then this last one's a Malabrigo yarn. I'm trying not to buy a lot of Malabrigo because it's everywhere and I can get it back home, but I mean, I saw this Rasta skein. It's called Glazed Carrot, and I knew if I did not leave with this skein, I would regret it. And I want to live with no regrets, obviously. And then I actually got 2 books. I seen this book in another store before and I passed on it then, but I decided to get it this time. It is the Knit Strips. It's a knit comic book. It's basically, there are patterns in it, but it's a comic book format. And what made me decide on it this time is in the back, there is a list of different designers who, like the guest designers who are in it. So I realized I could actually find other people's work who I can go explore and see what they do and get some ideas that way. And then the last thing that I got here was the Tunisian Crochet Handbook by Toni Lipsy. Toni Lipsy is TL Crafts on social media, TL Yarn Crafts, and she is the queen of Tunisian crochet. And I've been thinking about trying it. I think I may have tried it in the past, but called it using a Nook instead. Like, I have lots of things going on. I have like 5 different projects all going on at once, but I do want to take the time to like actually sit down and figure out Tunisian crochet for myself, and because it's always fun to learn new things, honestly. If you're not getting graded for it, if you're not getting evaluated for it, you're just doing it for fun. Learning new things is fun. Very nice little shop. Everything was nice and organized. Claire greeted me right as I came in. She told me how the store was organized. So that way, it's like organized by yarn weight. So that way all the same yarn weights are together and you can like pair them together that way. And she was very helpful in answering questions that I had about the yarn. They also had a nice little octopus amigurumi figure right as you entered the door. That was super cute. Yeah, that was a Knitwit, and it's just a very delightful little store. I just left Rosemary's Gift and Yarn shop, and when I came in, I was greeted right away by Rosemary. Rosemary's very friendly, very helpful. And when I came in, she's like she asked me if I knit or crochet, so I told her both, and she's like, well, I have a lot of yarn. And boy, she was not kidding. There was one moment where like she explained like her sales and whatnot, and I walked into the room with the yarn, and then I turned around the corner and there's another room. And then I turned around another corner and there was another room. There were like 3 full rooms of yarn. It was almost overwhelming, but I loved that she had such a huge collection, and like she had some pretty good sales going on too. There were lots of brands I've seen before, like Cascade, Plymouth, Malabrigo, Noro. There was Noro. A lot of the stores often have Malabrigo or Noro. I managed to find some brands I've never seen before. So this is Lamb's Pride worsted wool. It's 85% wool, 15% mohair. It is a bit rough, but this is going to sound strange. The tag around the skein feels good. I'm not sure if it's recyclable, but it feels good. Oh, as I'm saying this, 100% recyclable label. There we go. I got spiced gingerbread. This color was like, ooh. And then this is a cotton yarn. Yeah, 100% cotton. Cecia Bimbo. Never seen this brand before, but look at that colorway. Amazing, right? I saw this one. This is a Plymouth yarn. Yeah, Plymouth Bay. It's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. I just felt this and I was like, it's an amazing texture. It's like soft and whatnot. You can work up something really quick with this. It's a super thick, bulky yarn. You can kind of see that there. This is a Nako Ilip Baby yarn. This is super soft. This is very similar. This is like 100% anti-pill acrylic. I think I picked up a Russian yarn again. I think that language is Russian. But it's in accordance with British standard, apparently. but I was like, ooh, like this color is like nice. I'm really going for the oranges today because I also saw this earth yarn. I've seen earth yarns in other places, but I just saw this color and it was beautiful. Like it feels soft too. I can work this up into something pretty nice. And this store also had a lot of roving. So roving isn't really like, this is spun yarn. Roving is the raw materials for the yarn, but you can either felt with it or you can spin it into yarn itself. So she had quite a good selection. This looks like something that she just packaged herself. All these lovely little purples. Just a little taste, a little bit. And then they also had like a couple other roving ones. I didn't want to go overboard with the roving because I do have to remind myself that you have to spend this at 24 stores. Yeah. But these are colors I don't typically go for, but if you look at the quality of the roving, I don't think I'm gonna really have to card it. I think it's already set. I can just like pre-draft it and spin it, and probably because I don't typically go for these type of colors, it would be interesting to try and see what I come up with. We have a definite color scheme, yeah. And browns aren't it. But browns look nice. I did get another Malabrigo, so this here, like, it's a nice dye job, and I haven't tried any Malabrigo roving yet. So I figured I'd give it a shot, and then if I come across in other stores, I won't be as tempted to get it. I say that now. I don't know what I'm gonna be like tomorrow. They had like Bartlett yarns. Bartlett yarns was under the Maine yarn sign. I didn't really like the texture of their yarns. Their yarns were a little bit rough, but they did have roving, and it was these nice green colors. Well, I can always use more green. I want to like kind of develop up my roving collection a little bit just so I can get more practice spinning, yeah? I think what I have left in here are the sale items. This one is a Barocco. I love Barocco yarn. I'm kind of staying away from Barocco yarn because I see it everywhere and I can get that back home. But when I saw this yarn, it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. And I didn't know what to make with it. So I got it. This is the lacy yarn. So I ended up asking Rosemary, like I don't know what to make with this. And she told me that, like, if you look at the way that this is, it's more like a ribbon. Yeah. Apparently you can put knitting needles in the little holes and then knit this on to like a pattern, and this can become the ruffle, which that is really smart, honestly. She also mentioned like on the back here, like they at least made this scarf with this yarn. So there was a pattern available, but it took something that's like, oh my gosh, why would anyone ever make that or use that, to like, you know what, that's a pretty smart idea. But I'm guessing lots of people are going to the I don't know what to make with that. Why would anyone make with that? Because this was 50% off in her sale bin. I did get some yarns I don't typically get. This was also in the sale bin. This is Passion Fur from Plymouth Yarn. Super furry. I don't typically get furry yarn, but it was unusual enough. It's like, you know what? I can make something fun with this, right? Can figure it out. Lots of people that I've ended up following on Instagram do work with really furry yarns, and they do have a nice effect. They are not the best to work with. They're crocheting with it. I think they're mad. But I can't deny that what they make looks cute. I also do think that if someone is pattern testing, is creating a pattern to be pattern tested, they should, if they do work exclusively with furry yarn, they should make a version of it without the furry yarn, so that way they can see which way the stitches lie. Because even if you make things exclusively with furry yarn, other people attempting your pattern won't. Like me, probably. Okay, sidetrack over. I also saw like this Furlicious by Cascade Yarns. This was also in their sale bin, and I don't know, it's super soft. I'm probably gonna knit with this. I'm not gonna crochet with this, probably. I'm probably gonna knit with this, so because you have an easier time seeing what the stitches do when you knit with furry yarns like this. This is one of the softest things I have ever touched. And then I got a book. So the title's funny. It's called No Sheep for You. Who wouldn't love a little cheesecake picture or pinup picture on the front cover? But even though there are patterns in this book, what I found interesting about this book is it goes into a description of what all the different non-wool types of yarns are. And it talks about how to take these yarns and get similar effects that you would with wool and how to make them work. The overwhelming majority of the yarn that is made is wool, yeah, or is some sort of wool mix, but there are people out there who aren't able to work with wool. So it's good that there is a book out there for them so they can still appreciate patterns made for wool, even though they themselves can't touch wool. They can still like use the pattern, yeah? Or have patterns made that don't even need wool. That too. Usually if I buy a book nowadays, it's got to have a significant amount of the book that would be useful to me that I can't just find on a free pattern online, or isn't part of the collection of paper patterns that I already have. But yeah, that is what I got from Rosemary's shop, and it's a very nice shop. It's one of the things I really liked about the shop that is like more unique to her than other shops I've seen is that the place is not just littered with yarn, it's littered with patterns. They're literally patterns in like the plastic paper protectors all around the store, and they are pinned near the yarns that are being used for those patterns. And there are deals like, we'll give you this pattern for free if you get this yarn on Ravelry, or we will print it out for 25 cents each. If you get this yarn, we'll give you this pattern. It's an amazing way to pair the two together. Yeah, also get project inspiration, because you might not know what you want to buy the yarn for, but if you see a pattern and you like the pattern, it's like pretty good. And she actually had like a whole bookshelf full of binders of just like full of patterns of like baby clothes from 1 to 7 years or 1 to 7 months, I forget. But yeah, this is a very, very nice place. I just went to what's going to be the last yarn store of the day, which is Mother of Pearl. Now, Mother of Pearl is the only of the yarn stores of the Maine yarn cruise that I have been to before, because it's in Freeport. And when we go to visit my grandmother, we often visit Freeport because there's a thrift shop here. When I went in, the inside of the building didn't look the same. And as it turns out, they used to be 4 doors down. So they're still in the same parking lot area, but they're 4 doors down. The person, Ellen, that was helping me out, I did ask her if this memory that I have is actually true or not. And she wasn't working here 10 years ago, so she wasn't sure. Like when I was here like 10 years ago, there was a little terrier with a tennis ball who just came up and interacted with all the people. There was no dog in it this time. But it's like, you go to a yarn store and this dog just comes up to you with a tennis ball, you couldn't remember it. This had some amazing stuff in it. Although the amazing stuff wasn't just limited to the yarn, so there was a huge variety of stuff, although there were some good yarns in here. First, there's this Juniper Moon Bud Dappled. They had a shirt worked up in this on display and it looked good, and I felt this yarn, and this yarn was so soft, it's like, I just fell in love. It's 100% cotton. I don't know what I'm going to make with this, but we're going to make something cozy. I know that. Well, I didn't see this particularly in other stores. I've seen other stores have this brand. It's called Haiku, but this is called Simplicity Spot, and this is also super soft. It's merino, superwash, acrylic, and nylon. I love acrylic. I love nylon. I'm also becoming more of a fan of merino wool. This is something that's only happened within the past several months. Wool is something you have to buy high-end. If you do not buy wool high-end, it is not good. But yarn stores sell high-end wool, so we're good. There's this other brand I haven't seen before. It's Elspeth Lavoid. It's silky wool, designer's choice. This color is called Bubblegum. It's an interesting texture. I like the texture of this. It's like nice, soft, and squishy. This is like a silk mix, I believe. I mean, yes, it's a silk mix. It's called silky wool. Yeah, 45% wool, 30% silk, nylon. You add nylon to anything, it becomes smoother. I did get a Noro yarn here because this is a smaller amount of Noro. Usually when I see Noro in stores, it's a $45 skein, and it's like in a cone, and it's big. And it's like, I'm not sure I want to experiment with just that amount of Noro. I do have some Noro at home that I get to experiment with, but I saw this amount. It's like, you know what, this is only like 11 bucks. This is nice enough to just play around with. And then they had like this little opal pullover. It's like a sock yarn just for like a heel or a toe. It's from Germany. I don't know if I bought this before or not. It would have been during the New Jersey Wool Walk if I did, but I'm not sure. I just saw that and I thought scrap snake. And then they had like this silk cotton mix. It's like 8% silk, 20% cotton. I can't really see what the brand is on this one, but I think it's from Asia because the brand's called the Loom Bangkok. I don't know where Bangkok is, but I think it's Indonesia. I'll correct myself here if I'm wrong. They had Queensland here. I've seen Queensland before, but they had this coastal cotton, and this feels so good. So good. I found another Snallygaster yarn, and this color was called Why Not? So of course I had to get it because why not? Perfect impulse buy. And then I got quite a few things that are not yarn, but are yarn related. So they had a pretty good felting section there. It's the first store I've seen with felting, and I saw felting back on the New Jersey Wool Walk, but I wasn't interested in felting then. And then I went to Ireland and I took a felting class, and I was like, you know what? I like this enough to try it again. So I found a felting kit that promises to have a beginner's guide of how to do it. And it looks like here there's a range of different techniques that I could try. It doesn't have a felting mat, but I did see a picture of a felting mat in the store, and it looks like I have one. It looks like a huge brush. I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with it, but I think I may actually know what to do with it now. I got some books. So none of these are pattern books. This is the Book of Yarn. One of the ladies in one of the knitting groups I go to has recommended this book to me. She's like, get this book. This book is good. And this is the first time I've actually seen it in person, and I am a lot more likely to pick up a book if I see it in person rather than if I'm just ordering it online. I really overthink things when I order things online. I'm a lot more likely to impulse spend when I'm seeing it in the store. But this is something that would be useful for me to read. So, oh, there are patterns in it. I lied. Ha 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 ha. Okay. As it says, with 40 patterns right on the front cover. Okay. And then I found two like yarn essay collections. So there's a Stash of One's Own, that's an anthology edited by Clara Parker with a bunch of essays from other knitters or crocheters or yarn enthusiasts. We'll go with that. And see like what their experiences are, because it's always interesting to see how other people react to the thing that you were interested in, yeah? And then she also wrote this book called Vanishing Fleece, Adventures in American Wool. And yeah, I am interested in what her adventures in American wool are. And then the last thing I got is something that I realized I should have by now, but I didn't have. But I have it now. So I got myself some blocking pads because I'm currently test knitting a pattern for Alicia Plums, and she has mentioned that she wants the pattern to be blocked after I do it. So Alicia, I have no excuse now. I'm going to be blocking the shirt. You can hold me to that. And that is everything that I got at Mother of Pearl. And Ellen was very helpful. When I came in, she's like, I'm not ignoring you. I have to finish the sleeve for a shirt that I'm working on, that I'm knitting. And it's like, I completely understand. And I saw this sweater, like the shirt that she was working on, the color work was exquisite. She had like this nice color work design, and it was a great background, but it was like pink and purples, like in the actual pattern part. Like she also recommended another store for me that actually is not on the Wool Walk this year, or the Yarn Cruise, I mean, but it's something that I can probably still stop by and figure out where it is, because it's in Portland, so I know I'm going to be going back that way, at least, well, if not during this iteration of the Yarn Cruise, at least on the way home. And she also gave me a bunch of raffle tickets, and she mentioned like, you don't have your stickers with you today, huh? And it's like, you know what? I didn't realize that was something I could do. Instead of writing my name over and over and over again, I could have just made stickers up with my name and my contact info. They actually exist. I have a bunch of them at home and I didn't even think to bring them, and it's so the next time I do one of these things, that might be something I consider, either a stamp or the stickers, yeah? Because I've made a signature stamp in the past. I also know that is possible. Turns out they actually have a knitting night here tonight. It makes me wish that I had brought my knitting with me, because that would have been fun. But I didn't bring my knitting with me. I do have a bunch of yarn with me, so it's kind of ironic that I'm saying that. There's a bunch of yarn in the car with me right now, but I didn't get any utensils today. I didn't bring any with me, so it's like, ah. Yeah, that was Mother of Pearl. It's a very good shop. I'm back at the place where I'm staying for the night, and it's been quite a day. So it's interesting because this is the first time that I've come to Maine by myself. Now, I've been to Maine more times than I can count. Literally the first time I've come to Maine was when I was 6 months old. So I don't even remember all the trips I've taken to Maine. But they were all trips to visit family. And a visiting family trip is different than a yarn crawl or a sightseeing trip. Because when you're visiting family, you're at the whims of your other relatives, and it's like you don't plan the itinerary. The itinerary is planned. But when you're planning a trip for yourself, you get to see different parts, and this is close to the area where my mom grew up. So whenever we're up here, she drives. She knows where she's going. It's like when we leave the general area where she grew up, that's when we need to take out the GPS and map. But I did not grow up here. I grew up in Philly. So the GPS was guiding me around all day. And I can tell you, when you're driving with a GPS, when it's pitch dark out in the woods, it's kind of scary because you don't see where you're going, and any car that comes up has a potential to blind you. But when you're driving around and you don't know where you're going, but it's daylight, it's like, oh my gosh, look at the pretty trees. This is beautiful. Maine in general is just a beautiful state. Oh my gosh. I ended up on a dirt road today. I kind of felt like Itchy Boots there for a moment because I was on a dirt road for a sizable amount of time. Also, my cell phone decided to act up today. It was pretty hot. It was high 70s, low 80s all day, Fahrenheit. After the first store, my phone overheated. And it was only at 50% after the first store. I had 4 more stores to go to, and it's like, that's not going to last the day. It was so overheated, the map wouldn't even load. Like, the map loaded enough, but it wouldn't start the journey for me. And it's like, this is a problem. But it uploaded enough that I was able to see what direction I had to go to hit the next store. Like, okay, I'm going to drive for a bit. I'm going to run the air, cover the phone with the bag so that way the sun's not hitting on it and it's not absorbing all those sun rays. And we'll try in a little bit. So I was in the town of Aguanquit when I pulled over, and I tried it again, and I got to where I needed to go. I was getting tired, and then on the highway, salvation came in the form of the Kennebunk Service Center. I love the Kennebunk Service Center. It's like, you know what? I can use the bathroom, I can get some food, and I can find an outlet to charge my phone, because every service center, or the overwhelming majority of service centers, have an outlet somewhere. There may not be a lot of them. They may be hard to find. And they may be in the most awkward place. Like the one yesterday where it was literally had me staring at the entrance to the men's room and made me feel like a creep. But there will be an outlet. I got a sandwich at the Popeyes there, and I'm sitting next to the outlet waiting for my phone to charge, and it's slow going. And I'm staring across at the Apple Green. For those of you who aren't aware, Apple Green is kind of like the gas station store that's inside the rest areas. And it's like, you know what? The phone's not connecting to the car. But it's not the phone, because my phone has connected to the car before when Dad has plugged it in. I think it's my cord. And the Apple Green probably has a selection of charging cords. So what if my cord is just not compatible with this car? And my dad has a different sort of charging cord, which I think my dad does have a different charging cord. We both have iPhones, but he has like the fast charger cord. and for some reason it's just not working. So I was holding the charging cord up, and I found the one cord that had the USB port and the lightning strip, and it claimed to be fast charging. And let me tell you, that was a saving grace, because even though it will still not sync up with the car, it will charge my phone, which means for the rest of the trip I do not have to worry about my phone dying on me when I'm out in the middle of the woods. This is $21 well spent. Also, even though these look close together on the map, Maine is a very big state, and everything was at least a half hour apart. So I'm glad I gave myself enough time to drive today. Also, while I was driving, I just happened to look at oh, there's only 100 or so miles left until I run out of gas. This was between the 3rd and 4th store. I looked at the needle, and it's below the quarter mark on the gas tank. It reminded me of a television episode of Community. It's from season 6. It's the episode where they drive the big fiberglass hand on top of the Winnebago. And the dean goes like, "It's out of gas! We're out of gas! I've never seen the needle go down so low. It was almost touching! It was almost touching!" I felt like that. And let me tell you, I found the first gas station, pulled right in, filled it up with gas, and it filled back up to 456 miles, which means yesterday the car was lying to me when it stopped at 300. But we're good on gas now. Because unlike the smart car, I don't think I can push the fan by myself. I can push the smart car by myself. It's a struggle, but I can do it. I can't push the fan by myself. It's just been a very lovely, eventful day. I was about to say chill, but it hasn't been chill. There have been some events. I'm going to bring all my yarn in now so I can make room for tomorrow's yarn. Although I did buy a lot of yarn today, I'm looking at it, I'm wondering if I don't have a full crawl's worth of yarn already in the back of my car. But then I have to remember that this is the day where I'm buying the most stuff because I'm visiting the most stores. Anyway, I'm gonna go find some food now. I'm hungry.